Hey guys, I'm still here. My name is Omatayo Olamilekun Akoni Abdurazak Quadri. And the reason for the official introduction is because the title of this video is the most complex language in the world. Now, I think my language is pretty complex, and I know English is very complex. HUGE is huge, except on Thursdays when it isn't. But on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, you could call it Huge or Hug. But that aside, let's just see what the video has to say. I haven't watched this video, so it's like a fresh reaction. So let's get into it. Let's go.
You are cells, your muscles, organs, skin and hair. They are in your blood and in your bones. Cells are biological robots. They don't want anything. They don't feel anything. They are never sad or happy. They just are, right here, right now.
Dragon Balls would beg to disagree.
They're as conscious as a stone or a chair or a neutron star. Cells just follow their programming that's been evolving and changing for billions of years, molded by natural selection.
Sounds like a pretty good description of humans.
They are impossible machines, and yet here they are, driven entirely by the fundamental forces of the universe.
Again, sounds exactly like you're describing human beings.
The smallest unit of life, right at the border where physics becomes biology. Sometimes, to get a truer understanding of how amazing something is, you need to hold your breath and dive in really deep. So, what are cells, and how do they work?
I really like the animation style for this channel. I'm a fan.
Look around the room you're sitting in right now. Let's fill it top to bottom with trillions of grains of sand, billions of grains of rice, hundreds of thousands of grapes, a few thousand apples, and a dozen watermelons. This is what the inside of your cells looks like. In terms of numbers, they're mostly filled up with water molecules, the grains of sand. Water gives the cell's insides the consistency of soft jelly and enables other things to move around easily. Almost all the other things, the rice and fruit, are proteins. Several billion in total, more than 10,000 different kinds, depending on the function of the cell. Your cells are basically protein robots, as is all life really. In fact, all solid non-fat parts of your body are mostly made out of protein, even your bones.
See how complicated and almost beyond understanding a cell is, and I cannot, I can, this is the reason why, or this is one of the reasons why I cannot accept this explanation that we came to being like a series of evolution. I believe it's by design, because this is pretty efficient and well detailed, like detail oriented design. If you ask me, this didn't happen by accident. It's too many things have to happen for this to be a coincidence. I don't buy it.
Proteins are dead things that make life happen. How does this work? The language of life. Cells need to do many very hard things to stay.
I just realized we're not actually talking about an actual language. So the cell as the language of the cells. Anyway, enjoy the video anyway.
Alive. Get food in and waste out, grow and build structures, escape danger or react to stimuli, make copies of themselves, and so on. All of this is done by speaking the language of life. And the words of this language are proteins. This is how this language works in a nutshell. It all begins with amino acids, tiny organic molecules. They're the alphabet of the language of life. There are 21 different ones, like different letters. Amino acid A, amino acid B, C, and so on. If you put around 50 amino acids together, they form a protein, which in the language of life is a word. And if you put many of these protein words together, you get a sentence called a biological pathway. Let's oversimplify a bit and say, for example, your cell needs to break down sugar with the language of life. It may take the amino acids for the letters B, R, E, A, and K to form the protein word break. Then combine this word with other protein words to form a biological pathway sentence that means break down sugar. In reality, this language of life is so complex that it defies imagination. You need to know about 8,000 words to speak a human language really well. But in the language of life, there are an estimated 20,000. And while the average English word has 5 letters, human proteins have an average of 375 amino acids. The longest protein has more than 30,000. And cells need to execute thousands of steps at any moment.
I said it before in the previous video, I'll say it again. We are wonderfully and fearfully made. This is amazing.
If they ever stop speaking the language of life, they die. Okay, but how do mindless cells speak a language this complex? Let's dive a little deeper. There are 21 amino acids that can be combined to form proteins. And proteins are made up of dozens to hundreds to thousands of amino acids. For the average protein length of a human cell of 375 amino acids, you get a stunning 6.8 times 10 to the power of 495 possible proteins your cells can make. A quadrillion Google times more than there are atoms in the universe. Most of these possible proteins are useless. Just like with human language, most random letter combinations are just gibberish. So you need to know which words, which proteins, make up a language to speak it properly. And this is the job of your DNA, a long sequence of instructions. If you untangled a cell's DNA, it would be about 2 meters long. All of your body's DNA
So DNA is a long sequence of instructions that tells your body to do the things it needs to do to survive and pretty much determines your entire being, your DNA. But instructions from what or whom?
combined into one long string would reach to the sun and back over 20
Whoa,
times.
wait. Let's run that back.
Into one DNA, it would be about 2 meters long. All of your body's DNA combined into one long string would reach to the sun and back over 20 times. Around 1%.
Wait, let's not just gloss over that. That is incredible. Wow.
Of your DNA is made up of genes, which are basically protein dictionaries that contain all the words of the language of life your cells speak. But genes are also the building manuals for all the proteins your cells need to function. The rest of your DNA is probably not useless, but basically like a set of rules. It's like the book of grammar of the language of life. Which proteins need to be built at which time? How many of them do you need? Which protein words go together and why? Okay, letters, words, sentences, dictionary, and grammar. But of course, this is all just a metaphor for something mind-numbingly complex. Let's dive a little deeper to catch a glimpse of reality.
Please help me. He's gonna keep coming for us.
I'm something different.
Wait, isn't that the girl from Wednesday?
How dead proteins make life. Now that we have some basic principles, we have a chance to understand how dead things make life together. And for that, we need a fundamental force of the universe, electromagnetism. The elementary particles that make up atoms, which make up amino acids, have different charges that attract or repel each other. The 21 different amino acids all have slightly different charges. Some are more negative, others more positive. When your cells build proteins, they put different amino acids together in chains, basically long strings. Now, because of the different charges of the amino acids used, these strings begin to fold in on themselves. This folding process is so complex that we still haven't completely understood how exactly it works. But in a nutshell, 1D strings become 3D structures. Proteins are basically 3D puzzle pieces with a very specific shape. In the world of proteins, shape is everything. Because its 3D shape determines which areas of a protein are charged in which way, and this determines how it can interact with other proteins. All of these differently charged puzzle pieces
This is
can snap
amazing.
together or repel each
Human
other.
beings are amazing.
When they
But
snap
living
together,
things in
their
general,
charge
because
changes,
everything has
which can
DNA.
make them change their shape, which then makes them a new protein, a new tool that can do new things. This is what makes proteins so incredibly powerful. You can do basically everything with them. They can snap together like Lego pieces to build complex structures. They can dismantle things. They can form complex micro-machines that use energy to do work. And maybe most stunningly, they can convey.
How is all of this happening subconsciously inside us? Like this is happening all the time, every second of every day in us. And it's not like we're putting any effort to making all of this happen. But if something goes wrong in this process, as small and fundamental as this thing is, it could lead to like serious issues with our whole body. With it, like it can have like deformities, disabilities, or it's fall sick, or the fact that this isn't happening all the time, you know, it's awesome.
Information. Let's say there's a toxic chemical entering your cell. There may be a protein shaped to snap to that toxin. If the protein finds that toxin, it changes its shape. With that new shape, it can now snap into a different protein that changes its shape again. This new protein activates a micromachine that directly binds to your DNA to order the production of a special protein which acts as an antidote to the toxin. This cascade of interaction is the pathway we spoke about earlier, a sentence in the language of life. So, without a single active thought, proteins have fixed a problem and saved the cell's life. In reality, these pathways can have dozens to
My God. I was just so amazed with this. It's like I just recently like did a video about the immune system, right? And it's so fascinating and so complex of a system that it's a miracle it even works, and works most of the time, if not all, not all the time, because people still fall sick and die, but most of the time it works. And it's fascinating that it even works at all. It's like a miracle. But now this is not delving deeper into like the tiniest parts, or the things that even creates the immune system, or how the immune system even works, is even able to work. And even this is so complex that we don't even fully understand it yet. Even like the brilliant scientists and everything, we still don't fully understand it. That's amazing. Put some respect on your name.
hundreds of steps. How life operates is so incredibly awe-inducing. Somehow, mind-numbingly complex interactions between dumb and dead proteins create a less dumb and less dead cell. Somewhere around here, life happens, but we still don't know what life is. How dumb things are smart together. We need another
Humans,
analogy,
baby.
so let's talk about
Dumb things
ants.
smart together.
Ants share a
That's
fundamental
us.
property with cells: they are really dumb. A single ant will just stumble around uselessly. But if you put a lot of ants together, they exchange information and do amazing things. Constructing complex structures, organizing themselves, caring for broods, or attacking enemies. Although dumb individually, together they become something greater. This phenomenon occurs all over nature and is called emergence. It's the observation that entities have properties and abilities that their parts do not have. This is how everything
It's, for those people who you know tend to indulge too much in our tribalistic tendencies, or like decide to go to extremes when it comes to people who are different from us, whether tribal, racial, or whatever. This is a message for you all. Sometimes like the other parts have something that one part doesn't have, but when everything comes together it works. They don't have to be the same, because if they were the same they probably won't work as well. But with the different parts come together with a common goal, incredible things could happen.
in your body works. Your cells are bags of proteins guided by chemistry. But together, these proteins form a living being that can do a lot of really sophisticated things. Cells are mindless robots that are even dumber than ants. but many of them acting together form specialized tissue and organ systems, from muscles that make your heart beat to brain cells that make you think. If you look outside at the incredible dimension and scale of space, a place where forever is a real thing, it's almost impossible not to feel a bit small, not special. But if you look inside into what you really are, you just discover almost indescribable complexity, the beautiful language of life. Almost everything in the universe reveals hidden layers of complexity if you look closer, and if you have the knowledge to understand it. To help you with that, we've created a series of lessons to take your scientific knowledge to the next level.
Okay, I'll take a lesson from the other video and assume the rest of it is just gonna be the ads. But yeah, I'm currently working on like a video. It's gonna be like one of those my 45 minutes long, an hour long monologues. But the title of the video is "What is your life worth?" And I've been working on like the script and how I'm trying to figure out how I want to do the video. But essentially, like, just because you don't acknowledge or recognize the value that somebody has or that you have doesn't mean it's not there. For example, like this, for those of you who watched the video up to this point, this is a sneak peek for you guys. Don't tell anyone I told you this. They will have to wait. But this, for example, let's take Martin Luther King as an example. A great man did great things. Growing up, I didn't know who he was. He just didn't come up in conversation. I vaguely heard about him, like a little bit when growing up in Nigeria. Like I heard about him, like oh, Martin Luther King is some guy who did something in some place over there for those people. So it didn't really mean much to me. But just because I didn't know his accomplishments and the greatness of his actions doesn't mean that those things were any less great for my ignorance, and doesn't mean that I wasn't impacted by his actions. Even though I was in Africa at the time, I was still impacted by his actions all the way in America, whether I recognize it or not. In the same way, you don't know the extent to which you're just being around and what value that adds into life. Like seeing this video, seeing how complex it is and how impossible it is for you, wherever you are, to even exist. Like, put some respect on that. The fact that you are here, you might have been dealt a bad hand, but you're still in the game. There might be a wild card in the deck somewhere, and everybody has a different prize that they're trying to find or that they will find in life. So, everybody has value. That was my conclusion by the end of the video. It started off like a stream of consciousness, but by the end of the video, I kind of came to the conclusion that everybody does have value. But if you want to know all the scenarios and the breakdown, wait on the video. It's coming up sometime this year, hopefully. But yeah, thanks for watching Doses.